And we have started a research about the deliveries to our universities. We started that in 2014. Yeah, so we now already have 6 years of experiences with doing research, but also implementing solutions. So I will present what we've done, what we've learned, and also how we are working on scaling this concept to other organizations in the city. So I work at the Amsterdam University of Applied Sciences in the research group Urban Technology. But our procurement department works together with the University of Amsterdam. So together we are a very large organization with more than 30 locations in the city, about 10,000 employees, about 80,000 students. So it's a very big organization with a lot of deliveries. And unfortunately, at this moment, it's very quiet, but of course, we expect after the summer that it will be busy again. Here on this map, you can see all the different locations that are included in our research, but especially where we'll focus on today is this inner city campus, which is being renovated at the moment. So that also leads to another incentive to start thinking about logistics. So the research questions that we've started with is, first, what is the expected demand for goods and services at different moments in time? It's similar to the presentation of Marjana. We did also some questionnaires to see, what is the demand? Next, which logistics concepts are possible? So we're rethinking the logistics concepts for the different flows. And we also try to see what it means for example, the people that work at the reception, or what it means for storage and distribution on the campus. We're looking at how we can scale this concept to other organizations. Being a launching customer, so to say, for the city. And we work with a lot of companies that are, or suppliers, but also the logistics service providers that help us making it more efficient. There are a few phases of change that we are going through. First, raising awareness, of course, that's something that Marjana was also talking about. You need to get the attention on city logistics within the procurement department and with some important people within your organization, and that they are aware of what they are causing when it comes to logistics. They need to be willing and able to change the concepts. They need to realize and evaluate. And they need to persevere and scale up. I have some few examples of how we've done this in the last years. In 2015, we published a report to create more awareness about all the deliveries. In 2016, my colleague, the lecturer City Logistics, together with the head of procurement, they signed an agreement that they're putting effort in sustainable city logistics. That also really helped within the organization, to have this moment on stage where they committed themselves to this ambition on city logistics. And from there on, we've started to implementing solutions. And that was ranging from parcel lockers to using a logistics hub at the border of the city, but also using cargo bikes for smaller deliveries. We've also stimulated our window cleaning company to procure electric vehicles. And in 2020, so last year, we've also written down our experiences and we've evaluated. And now we're focusing on this inner city campus, the university quarter, where I will talk about a bit more later. When we're looking at the deliveries, they are very diverse. There are this, of course, a lot is related to food, to the canteen, but we also have, we have different suppliers for the canteen. So our bigger wholesalers, but also local entrepreneurs. When it comes to facility goods, you can think of printing paper, toilet paper, coffee vending machines, items. We have, of course, a lot of parcels and also books and furniture for rent or for daily use. So, well, this shows that also when we're looking at concepts, you need to take into account how different all the freight flows are, and that they all have their own characteristics that that need to be taken into account when developing solutions. Well, looking back at what we've done so far, like the green and the blue spots you recognize from the first slide, that were our the locations where the university is. But we've in the meantime we have different hub locations where goods are consolidated and distributed with electric vehicles. At the border of the city, there's a hub for the general, well, the more the facility goods. We have a micro hub in the inner city for the coffee. There are laptops and phones distributed with smaller electric vehicles in the inner city. There's a central reception point for business parcels, but also one for private parcels. We are looking at the food deliveries together with our caterer company, and we are looking at the rental furniture, which has a very high number of stops in the inner city, which is due to the lack of space to store the furniture. So it shows how different all the concept is. So it's not just talking about an urban consolidation center. It requires a lot more thinking for each freight flow to see what can help to make the deliveries more efficient. I would like to zoom in a bit on the University Quarter. So that's in the inner city of Amsterdam, and it's currently being renovated. So it will be a very lively area with studying, working, research, culture, restaurants, cafes, and it's, well, surrounded by water, as you can see, and it's very old part of the city, which is also very vulnerable. And so they've decided to make it a central logistics point. So here you can see the yellow dot, the CLP, in the University Quarter, where all the goods are sent to, and from there on they will use smaller vehicles to distribute it to the different buildings. And now the department of the University Quarter that are renovating this site, and also the facility management department, they are they've asked us, the researchers, to think about the development and design of the central logistics point and how the goods are brought there, and what kind of vehicles we can use from there on. So we are in the middle of this research. Here are a few photos of the campus. It's a very old part of the city, as I mentioned, and they would like to have it car free, so that it's really attractive for pedestrians and for the students to hang out and study. It's also very vulnerable, as I mentioned, and that was appeared in the 1st of September when a part of the canal wall collapsed. It was the beginning of the new semester when this happened. And it shows us that we need to work even more and more to make the deliveries to this site efficient and, where possible, with light vehicles. So now we're looking at the central logistics point. This building is still being renovated, so it's not ready yet, but that also allows us to think about how we will design the storage there. It's quite a large area, 600 square meter, that can be used to receive the goods and to handle them for the campus. There are quite some challenges that we encounter. We are analyzing a lot of data, and I have an example of how difficult that is. But a challenge is also that we need to take into account the fluctuations. Of course, there are peak days, for example, the beginning of a semester, and during summer it's more quiet. So we need to take into account when we're designing concepts that they are also able to handle the peak days. And there is a lot of discussions about how you use the space. So you can, for example, reduce the delivery frequency, but that means that you will receive more goods at once, and you also need to have the space there to handle all the goods and to store it. And the same is, for example, for the furniture that we are renting for events, and now there is no storage space or only a little bit. So that's why we rent all the furniture. But yeah, of course, that's when it comes to logistics, it's not so efficient to have all those movements. And there's a challenge on how to decide on the vehicles that we want to use on campus. Well, here are a few examples of the data that we have. So there is a lot of data recorded. For example, well, when this was a physical meeting, we could have ordered cookies, and we could have ordered tea and juices, and that's well, all these orders are recorded, but it is of course different than, for example, the supplier delivers. So they deliver a crate and with different items, and we have also well, the data about these crates, but it doesn't really mean how much space is needed in the truck. So we have a lot of different data sources that we're analyzing, but it doesn't really tell us what we're wanting to know, like the capacity that's needed in the truck. Also, for example, when we can have the size of the items, but it doesn't tell you how much well, air is being distributed and how they are organized in the truck. Then what I mentioned, the fluctuations per day, we see a very big difference between the general, or like the average amount of deliveries and the busiest days. So actually, well, calculating the average doesn't really make any sense. So we really need to design for the peak and the lower days. The on-campus distribution, we have done some research into all the possibilities that we have to send the goods from the central logistics point to different buildings. Ranging from robots to bikes to drones. We haven't decided yet. And if you have any ideas or experiences with different vehicles on the campus, then that will be interesting to know. Also here the consideration is, do you want to have a smaller vehicle, which requires maybe that you have multiple rounds, or do you want to have a bigger vehicle? And then we have the question, where do you park it? Do you have space on the campus? So the next steps are that we are looking into this central logistics point. How will we design it? What are the responsibilities? Which kind of processes are there needed for the reception and for the distribution of the goods? Designing logistic concepts for food. There's also a focus on the short food change, which is interesting for procurement. They would like also to stimulate local entrepreneurship and the food production in the region, but it also causes some difficulties, as at this moment it also only increases the number of freight flows to the city and to the campus. So we need to design better to have also efficient short food change, and the waste collection is also explored, and there are ideas for having it over water. So I hope I have given you an idea of how we're working as a university on city logistics for our own sites, and that now the project continues as we are renovating this inner city campus, which leads to new challenges, but also a lot of new opportunities to redesign the logistics chains. That was my presentation, and if you have any questions, would like to know.